was I did 3 years of at Leeds College of Art and Design, which is my hometown, and then by the end of it I was buying so many records, and I was just immersed in techno at that point.
Right. Which time was this?
Oh God, it was a long time ago.
85?
No, it was later than that. It was when I was kind of 18 years old, so 18, 19, so that will have been... Yeah, that would be 90. Yeah, it was like the early mid to mid 90s.
Right.
So you know, there was, and I've been kind of buying I started to buy records when I was 8, when my auntie gave me a record token. Oh, that was the first record I got, and then I slowly started to, you know, buy more records. So by the time I was into my you know, my teenage years, I was kind of immersed in dance music, but I couldn't go to clubs, so I didn't have the context of a dance floor at all.
Right.
But I was listening to the radio,
right,
and picking up on different parts of dance music. But what happened with the techno thing was that I got this the Virgin compilation that they did Virgin Records did a compilation called Techno, the New Dance Sound of Detroit, and this was, I got that when I was 15, and there was the track, the Inner City track. No, I was 15 or 16, and the Inner City track, Big Fun, was on there, and that was a hit in the UK. It was a chart hit.
Right,
so that was the record that, because that was on this compilation, I bought the compilation to get that record.
Right.
There was all the Derek stuff on there, Derek Mays.
Right.
There was Juan Atkins was on there, Anthony Shakir, and all these other guys, Eddie Flash and Folks. Oh no, Eddie was on the next one, I think. Oh no, he was on there, and a few other guys. Blake Baxter was on there. So, I got exposed to these names at that point, and this music at that point it sounded completely different to everything else. It sounded different to house. It was faster than house in some cases. It had more aggression and more bite, but it was more melancholic,
right,
as well. It was moodier, and that's a quality that probably connects with me more. I like minor keys rather than major keys,
right?
So I guess and the second Virgin compilation, Techno 2, that came out, that had Carl Craig's first record on Elements. Now that, when I heard that, because Elements is a very, very, very gentle track. It's not a club record really. Mm-hmm. It has an 808 behind it, and it's very layered and very, very emotive and introverted. And as someone who hadn't experienced any of the music in a club, that connected with me more, because I was sitting in my bedroom,
right,
playing all these records. So to hear that was really, that made it. That I suppose in many ways that was the thing that made me think, right, so you can make this music, can it be I can make this music in my bedroom, for my bedroom, you know, and I was only, at that point I was only playing around with like home keyboards. I was trying to recreate the drum patterns,
right,
of these records on a Casio keyboard, because they had, at the end of the key you could press a key, and then you'd have the drum sounds in different keys, and you could record a little 2-bar loop. So I would record a 4/4 kick, and then, you know, put some snares in and recreate old Todd Terry drum patterns, you know, from kind of that I'd heard on records like Can You Party by Royal House that he did, you know, trying to recreate that drum pattern. God, I did that for about a year on a Casio keyboard. Always sounded terrible, but I was so young, and I didn't realise what I was actually doing was teaching myself, right, I was teaching myself in a very early incantation the skills of record production. But, you know,
did you know then at that time that you wanted to do big rooms?
No, I didn't even know that I wanted to be a DJ, although I had turntables. I didn't know that DJing was a job,
right?
It was at that point, it hadn't exploded into this, you know. If I was 15 today I would pick up a magazine about DJs, see them traveling the world, and go, well, "Oh, I can do that. That's a job."
Right.
But then that wasn't happening. It was happening on the underground, but certainly not for someone at my age at that time. You know, it wasn't. There wasn't a lifestyle. I was just, I suppose, just doing what I love to do. You know, and I just carried on doing it, and the more. Like an addiction, it still is, you know, buying records.
Right.
So the more music you hear, the more you're inspired, the more it feeds into the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And so this is the key to it all, really. And then what happened was I went to a nightclub in my hometown when I was 17 or 18, called Back to Basics, and it was for years. You know, it was an amazing. It's an amazing club, and it had some real magic moments over the time it was running, I remember the first time I went there, and there was 3 rooms, and on the middle floor there was a Merc record being played by Ralph Lawson, who's a fantastic DJ, and I ended up doing a lot of recording for him for his label for many years ago, and but he was playing a Merc record, this deep Miami house sound, and which blew me away. And I'm looking around. There's a sound system that people have brought into the club. They've put these speakers up and they're playing the music that I had at home at that age. But look what was happening. The synergy. The people are going absolutely crazy.
Right.
Beautiful girls and people just losing their minds, and to all these records that I had.
What more could you wish for?
Yeah, and I went downstairs, and this was probably what hit me. This hit me harder, was going downstairs and hearing Andrew Weatherall was playing. He was playing. I think he was playing. I remember the 2 records that he was playing, and he was mixing them into each other. He played Future Will Survive, which was an old Trax Records thing, an old acid track with a vocal, with a detuned, very deep voice vocal on its spoken word thing, and he mixed it into a Luke Slater record that came out on a Dutch label, and I had both those records. I'm hearing the mix, the transition into this Luke Slater record, I'm almost in there now when I'm describing it to you.
Right.
It's just absolutely blew me away, and that moment I was like, this is everything.
And this is probably what you have then been doing all along, to try to transform that into the audience.
I've nearly got a tear in my eye thinking about it. It's crazy.
It means that you are that you look at this as art, really. And I guess not too many are looking at dance music as art, because when